These are insane.
Big piano, beautiful.
The resonance.
Not bad.
Not bad. Good job, I think.
Hi everybody.
Hi everybody, how you
Welcome
doing?
back.
No Tim today.
No Tim today. Tim, hope you're well, brother. He's on the road.
He's rocking.
Great.
So today,
Yeah.
it's all about these incredible
Hondurans.
guitars with Honduran mahogany.
And joy to play. Oh, you just feel it, don't you? It's like, I think that's what great guitars do. They do take you off somewhere. Like you sort of disappear, don't you?
There's a resonance with these guitars.
Yeah, it's really
like a
clear.
mellow, the bottom end in that is, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a Adirondack top and a mahogany, Honduran mahogany back and sides.
Yeah.
And this is an all mahogany.
Correct. All Honduran.
All Honduran.
And that one is, the top is flat sewn, so it's like a straight grain. Sometimes when you see some streaks in it, it's actually quarter sewn, but that one's got a flat sewn top.
Oh, okay.
I prefer that. It looks more traditional to me, but yeah, I mean, it's.
This is Tim's kind of guitar, right?
This
The
is Tim's
FY.
guitar, yeah.
Yeah, he loves this shape. I must admit, it's got a nice feel just to sit and play.
For a small body, it's just
Yeah.
super resonance, lovely.
But I bet there's a pretty cool story behind all of these, because it's not easy to come by the Honduran mahogany, right?
So yeah, I mean, it's been told a few times, and I see it talked about online, and a great story because it was by chance, a lot of it, even how we found it. I think it goes back to 2015 or 2016, maybe. I think we came out with them in 2017. But first of all, like Mr. Yairi he collected, there's some mythical stories about the amount of tonewood at Yairi, and it's right. There's endless amounts of tonewood at Yairi.
Just hiding around the factory. And
there's like storage rooms full of it, and there's high-end rooms, and it's every room that you walk through in the whole place. In the joists, there's like, they've left enough room, or in the rafters, it's like stored of thousands and thousands of cut tops.
Because it wasn't just a job to Mr. Yairi. His entire life was dedicated.
Just dedicated his entire life to it. Not just making guitars, but his people. He was so kind to his people. Like he was a real leader of men. I felt like he had quite a presence about him. He was like strong guy, but very kind.
You were saying that he built like homes and stuff.
Yeah, he built homes on his land and homes at the factory for the luthiers to live in. And I think he built them in the 80s and maybe the 90s. He just looked after his people. He was a great fella, and he bought tonewood. He lived in the countryside, lived a simple life, and he just bought masses and masses. Anytime he could get a deal on wood, he would buy it. So the story starts that I was introduced to a wonderful guitar player called Jack Pearson, who was in the Allman Brothers in the 90s. I would put Jack as one of the best all-round guitar players in the world. Like he plays jazz and blues and rock and slide, and he can play Django Reinhardt. He can just do everything wonderfully. Like nothing's just half-hearted. He can play all of those styles amazingly well. So I met him in a guitar shop in Nashville called Cotton Music, and we were sitting down and chatting. And I said, we'd really like to make a guitar for you. We had wonderful guitars around us, vintage Martins and all sorts of stuff, and Collings, and he's playing his guitar, and he's sort of noodling a lot of in the middle of the fretboard. And he said, I like having a lot of body here and this and that. And he knew exactly what he wanted, almost where he wanted, or tonally what he wanted along the fingerboard. So I came away from that meeting thinking, in some ways to play it safe, but also to give him arguably the best tonewood configuration ever, which is Honduran mahogany and a really high quality piece of Adirondack. Some people obviously would say Brazilian rosewood, and maybe Adirondack or Sitka, but to me, Honduran's hard to beat for its warmth and big sort of middle voice. So I went to the factory, went to Yairi, and Yuki-san, who is the director, who I work with the most. I started telling him about Jack and how he plays and what he wants and all this sort of stuff, and I think we should make it from Honduran and Adirondack, OM, this size you're playing. We started talking about responsiveness, and you say, well, how about we use, because on the X we have some peaks for strength, and we were talking about where we should place those peaks to try and get a bit more out of the small body. And this went on all afternoon, talking about designing guitars. On the way to Japan, I'd talked to a friend of mine who deals in wood, and I said, have you got any really high quality Adirondack? He said, yes. I said, have you got any Honduran? He said, yes. So I said to the team, I said, this is my friend, he has all the wood, let's import it in because you've got to have CITES certification for Honduran. because I think in 1992 Honduran was restricted, or the movement of it was restricted by CITES. There's a lot of control there. And I left. And I thought, well, a great meeting, been there a couple of days. 3 months later, I go back to the factory. There's 2 OMs sitting there, made of Adirondack and Honduran mahogany. And I picked up one of the OMs and I played it. It's like, wow, just absolutely sang, you know, it was just like amazing. And I thought, God, Jack's gonna love this. I said, Yuki, this is fantastic, we've nailed it, you know. Went about our business for the rest of the day, went around the factory and all this sort of stuff, and worked on some more R&D. I said, when we ship it to the States with the samples, remember we've got to sort of include the certification for CITES. And he said, oh, we don't have any certification. He said, oh no, we didn't buy the wood from them. I said, well, where did the Honduran come from? Mr. Yairi used to have another piece of land a few miles from the factory. We used to go there after, when Mr. Yairi was alive, we used to go for lunch.
Right.
Talk about guitars all the time.
Yeah.
And we always went to this, what we used to call the car park, because it was near a gas station, right? And there was like mounds of wood under tarpaulins that had been there for however long. I said, there's Honduran in the car park. He said, some. I said, well, shall we go and have a look? So we left the meeting, jumped in the van, went down to this bit of land that Mr. Yairi owned. Yuki's like pulls this tarpaulin up. And these billets, which are like 12 inches wide, 6 inches deep, boards. Some of them are, I don't know, 8, 10 feet long, maybe longer. It was like stacked up to here. Because it had oxidized, it was all black. So it was all the wood was weathered, so you couldn't see what it was. You can't see what any of that wood is, it's all weathered. So I got a key from the driver and I scraped it off and that color came through. Wow. It was like, I said, all of this is this. He said, yeah. And I said, how long has it been here? And they had a conversation in Japanese. And he turned around and he said, maybe 50 years. I said, what? He said, nobody knows. Mr. Yairi bought it a long, long time.
But there's just so much tonewood everywhere. It was just like, oh yeah, there's some Honduran in the car park.
I'm not quite sure it had been discussed how much was there, what was there for a long time, because there's so much at the factory. So I'm standing there looking at like this discovery of gold in the guitar world. Yeah. And then it hits me, well, none of this is cut. I said, well, where's the wood for Jack's guitar come from? He said, oh, factory. I said, so there's more at the factory? He said, some. So we jump back in the van, we go back to the factory. We walk down long corridor, past loads of piles of sticks, tonewood everywhere. And there's about another 400 or 500 sets sticked. I said, how long has this been here? Had a conversation in Japanese, and we don't know, but longer than any of them had been there. So he said, decades.
So all perfectly seasoned, all perfectly ready to go.
Cut, had been sticked, so there's a gap between every piece, you know, so you see, let the air circulate through. And I couldn't believe it, and I sort of said, how come it hasn't been used? And they said, don't know really. You know, there's lots of wood here, and I'm still kind of shocked and stunned, and we finished the rest of the trip off, and we've got loads of R&D working on different things, and I fly to China. And I'm thinking, how on earth can we use that wood? Yeah, I thought it's all restricted. It's restricted by CITES regulation, and we can't do anything with it. So I'm in a bar one night, playing pool in a hotel in China, and I was with another guitar guy for another company who does the same job as me, a friend of mine. And I was telling him the story. And he said he was involved in hiring a lawyer with the company that he was once with, and they looked at all of the legal classification around wood, what could be used, what couldn't be used, how wood needed to travel, and all that sort of stuff. And he said to me, I'm sure that if the wood is already cut and in situ, it can be then shipped as finished goods. I said, are you sure? And he said, I'm pretty sure.
So it would have to be actually made
into a guitar.
Yeah. And then it would be.
So you can't move like boards or logs around now without certification, proving that it's been managed.
What you mean is it's sort of you can log how long it's been around, as in it was pre.
Well, I thought I was going to have to try and get it carbon dated or something. I was going to have to try and prove when the wood was cut. Yeah. But as long as it was turned into a guitar, it could then freely move. So I said, could you help me prove that? And he went back to the States. He sent me some emails. I checked it out on my side, and it's like, great, we can use the wood. So we made Honduran series, and I flew back to Nashville to meet Jack. I gave him the guitar.
What did he think of the guitar?
He's just
Was he
like,
blown away?
he's blown away. And I was blown away because he just sat there in the same shop in Nashville, and he played this wonderful music on it. This took, probably from meeting him, about a year. And finally it was in his hands. And eventually he did actually, Jack has an issue with his shoulder at the time, and the body was actually a bit too big. So he actually came back and he said, could you make me a parlour like this as well? So we went on and made a parlour for him as well.
Oh, with what? With the same type of wood? With an Adirondack top?
Yeah, and the a 14 fret neck joint. I went back to Japan, wherever it was, 3 months later or something, and I said, Jack's really, really happy, thanks very much, it was great. And we launched the Honduran series, which has been really, really well received, and the guitars are lovely. And I think for a bench-made guitar by a luthier of this quality, that I think they're as relatively affordable.
Yeah.
Considering how much work and skill and the materials used. So this is a 4A Adirondack top. So eventually I go back to the area, I explain, Jack's super happy, the guitars are amazing, and we can move ahead, and we designed the line, made some tweaks to bracing, got everything, built the samples, heading to a NAMM show to do the launch. But I'd gone back to the factory before that, and I said, because we made 2 OMs originally, we spent like a lot of time on both of them. One was Jack's, and there was another one left at Yairi. So I go back, I said, could you bring the other OM so we can just test it against the new samples, see if we've met that level of tonality? And they said, oh, we don't have that anymore. And I said, really? I said, where's it gone? They said, oh, Jeff Beck. I said, Jeff Beck? I said, what do you mean, Jeff Beck? He said, oh, he was touring Japan, he visited the factory, he played the guitar, and he took that one. I said, so Jeff Beck has the other OM. And I said, did anybody get a photograph or any contact details? And, oh, no.
No.
So Jeff Beck had visited the Yairi, picked up the other sample of the first Honduran set, duo that we made. And so I believe Jeff Beck has one.
Wow.
And the one we went for Jack actually was in St. Louis, and a great friend of ours who used to work for the company has it. But that was it. And then from there, we developed the whole line.
Obviously, it's a limited run, right? Because there's only a certain amount of it.
It is a limited run, and we don't make that many, but they've become really popular. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't, because of the pandemic, I haven't been back to the factory for a while. Hope to get back there over the next few months. But it will run out. Yeah. And we may probably keep enough for some special editions. But yeah, once it's gone, it's gone. But then we'll probably find something else under another
Yeah,
pile.
well, that's going to be it, isn't it? It sounds like there's a wealth of...
Well, that same day, or was it the trip after, we did find some amazing walnut, actually. And there was some other stuff in there, in upstairs in the room. There was actually some Honduran rosewood, which is just stunning.
Wow.
So there'll be other things coming out, but these guitars...
But honestly, if you can get to a store and try one of these guitars, if you can find one, they are... That's good. I think that's the nicest dread.
Well, it's open tune, but you can hear.
That is great. Oh, with this too.
Yeah, they're lovely. It's just warm and clear, and all the thing you want, everything you want from mahogany, somehow Honduran mahogany, especially when it's been dried naturally. This hasn't been accelerated.
Yeah.
It hasn't been in kilns.
Yeah.
It's been left for the elements to dry it out properly, and I believe that makes it better music wood.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Of course. Insane. Great stuff.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks.
Hope that is interesting.
Yeah, without a doubt. Cheers, mate.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.